They laughed when she stepped onto the mat, wearing loose gym clothes that didn't fit quite right. The petite woman looked out of place among the athletic young students in their sharp uniforms. Some snickered, others whispered under their breath. But just 14 seconds later, the room fell silent, because the woman they laughed at had just submitted a black belt with such perfect technique. Even the instructor stood frozen. Her name was Melanie Rivers. In her late 30s, soft-spoken, and recently divorced. Melanie had spent most of her adult life putting others first: her husband, her job, her family. Somewhere along the way, she forgot how to fight for herself. Until one day, quietly and without fanfare, she decided to change that. She signed up for a local Jiu Jitsu class not to prove anything to anyone, but to rediscover the strength she once had. When she first walked into that gym, the energy in the room shifted. The instructor, Coach Bradley, offered her a half-hearted greeting. The younger students exchanged looks. One of them whispered, "Is she lost?" Others chuckled as she clumsily tied the belt of her borrowed gi. But Melanie didn't react. She just smiled gently and stood at the back, watching, listening, absorbing. No one there knew who she really was. No one knew that years ago, Melanie had trained at an Olympic level, that she once wrestled professionally, that she had stepped away from the sport only after a devastating injury, and a heartbreak that followed. They didn't see any of that. All they saw was a woman who looked like she didn't belong. The class began with warm-ups. Melanie followed every movement with quiet precision. She didn't correct anyone. She didn't try to stand out. Even when a khaki blue belt named Jason talked down to her while demonstrating techniques, she just nodded politely and followed along. Then came sparring rounds. Coach Bradley looked over and said, "Melanie, why don't you go with Jason? Just take it slow." Jason smirked. "I'll be gentle." They bowed, took their positions, and stepped onto the mat. At first, Jason toyed with her. He danced around, made exaggerated feints, and chuckled, "Try not to break a nail." But then something shifted. Melanie's eyes locked in. Her stance changed. In one smooth motion, she moved from a defensive guard into a perfect triangle choke tight, fast, and clean. Jason tapped out. The timer, 14 seconds. The room went completely silent. Coach Bradley stepped forward. Stunned. "Wait. What just happened?" Jason sat up, red-faced, still catching his breath. She caught me. I couldn't move." Melanie helped him to his feet, calm as ever. Coach asked, "Where did you train before?" She smiled. "Olympic camp, wrestled in my 20s. It's been a while." But muscle memory's a funny thing. The whispers turned into wide-eyed stares. Even the ones who mocked her before now looked at her with something else: respect. Maybe even awe. Coach Bradley asked her to spar again, this time against a purple belt. The result, the same: smooth technique, total control. Another submission in seconds. In less than 10 minutes, the woman who had been laughed at, ignored, and underestimated had become the most respected person in the room. Coach Bradley publicly apologized. "You've got a place here anytime. In fact, we'd be honored if you taught a seminar." But Melanie wasn't there for revenge or attention. She just wanted to feel strong again. Still, in that moment, she realized something powerful: her story could inspire others. She didn't fight to prove others wrong. She fought to remind herself who she was, and that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it walks in quietly and makes the room fall silent. A few days later, someone posted the footage of her sparring match online. The video went viral. The title read, "Underdog Destroys Ego in 14 Seconds." But it wasn't just a viral clip. It became a statement. People around the world shared it with captions like, "Never judge a book by its cover. Age, size, or gender doesn't define strength." Melanie started receiving messages from women everywhere: mothers, teachers, nurses thanking her. They said she reminded them that it's okay to start over, that quiet strength still counts, that being overlooked doesn't mean being incapable. She eventually began hosting self-defense workshops, not just to teach technique but to teach resilience, self-belief, and the quiet power of rising until the world can no longer ignore you. Melanie Rivers didn't just reclaim her strength. She lit a path for others to follow. If this story moved you, Don't forget to like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments. And for more inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel Unfolded Tales Explained and press the bell icon so you never miss a moment.